My name is Niall and I work in the International Labour Organization in Geneva. I work in something called the Youth Employment Programme, which is part of the Employment Policy Department, and we're concerned essentially with policies and programs to promote decent work amongst young people. I'm going to talk today a little bit about a few trends in youth labour markets, concentrating on G20 countries, and then talk a little about the future work and the implications for policy of the future work and some ideas for discussion. Start off, as I always do, with the youth. We produce every 2 years a publication, Global Employment Trends for Youth, and our last edition was the end of last year. And the key focus in that report is always on the youth unemployment rate. Overall, the youth unemployment rate in G20 countries in 2017 was around 13.3%, which was roughly very similar to the global average. It's up a bit from 2007, before the global economic crisis, but more than the average changes. On average, both in G20 and in the global economy as a whole, it doesn't change that much. What is much more striking, if you look at this figure, is the huge difference that one finds also within G20 countries. And of course, this has big implications for the nature of the response and the nature of how we can deal with promoting decent work for young people. I mean, it goes from under 5% in Japan to over 50% in South Africa. Now, clearly, it's mostly concentrated in temporary and informal employment. Okay, the clear majority of new jobs are in temporary and informal employment, okay, which is a slightly less positive message. Okay, something certainly, and that is, I guess, a key to a central point as regards the future work for young people. We're talking young people nowadays are engaged in temporary, unstable forms of work, and we need to come to terms with that. That's very important, but it needs to be accompanied with enough jobs. When you have 50% youth unemployment in your country, it's not clear that skills development is the way to go, or skills development alone is going to solve the problem. One needs also demand-side intervention to create the jobs, to create enough jobs for young people. Okay. And as I mentioned before, young people expect to have many jobs during their lifetime. So I would say a key point here, actually I was discussing just before the intervention with a colleague from the Y20, we need to find approaches to deal with the uncertainty and instability that young people are facing and are increasingly going to face as they make their way through the world. That can include, should we have basic income, for example? What about basic income? What about how can we change social benefits to make them social benefits and obligations to make them more portable? How can representation of young people be changed? That's just not going to happen for most young people. But it does raise the issue of what to do about it, how to deal with that. And certainly uncertain employment and the intermittent employment and the risks and the greater instability in career paths has big implications for young people. And it brings with it additional stress for young people. And as associated, and a number of studies are associated in high-income countries, it has been associated with let's say, increased mental illness and so on amongst young people. So something needs to be done to support that trend, which I think is of itself is happening. It's not that we can change the forms of employment.